All right, it is 3 o'clock. Good afternoon, committee, staff, and visitors. Thank you for joining us for the May 6th, 2026 regular quarterly meeting of the Transportation Safety Advisory Committee. We'll begin with the roll call. When I call your name, please say here or present. Chairperson Al Schmidt.
Here.
Vice Chair Chris Depke.
Chris, here.
Frank Trapasso.
Here.
Denise Fortenberry.
Here.
John Wall.
Here.
Sharon Brimhall.
Here.
And Josh Cook. With all members present, a quorum is declared.
Do the pledge now, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one person to be speaking. It would be Greg Bushman. He also has the very first item on the agenda, and Greg is the only person that signed up to say anything. So your item is up on consideration and possible, I jumped too far ahead. We have to approve the minutes first. I was too excited about that.
So is Mr. Bushman, did you want to speak during citizens to be heard or during your item?
No, I'll speak when we get to the item on the agenda.
Yes. So we have the approval of the February the 4th, 2026 committee meeting minutes.
I move they be approved.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Did you get the first and the second?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're down to the consideration item with Greg. Consideration and possible action on a citizen request to place signs at both ends of the Keeneland Bridge directing pedestrians to use the sidewalk.
Welcome. Okay, this submittal requests installing signs on the Keeneland Bridge directing pedestrians to use the existing sidewalk. The noted safety concern is that Keeneland Drive is too narrow for 2 lanes of traffic and pedestrians at the same time. 2 depictions of this bridge are shown on the screen and are in your in your committee packets. You can tell from these depictions the sidewalk's only on one side. According to the Texas Transportation Code, which states that a pedestrian may not walk along and on a roadway if an adjacent sidewalk is provided and is accessible to pedestrians. Having one sidewalk on the bridge does not make it accessible to pedestrians at all times. Thus, the use of the roadway is permitted. As a measure to promote safer pedestrian behavior, staff can install 2 signs at either end of the bridge encouraging the use of sidewalks. The depiction of the sign is on page 5 of your packet. Staff's recommendation is to install these signs as a safety measure. And if you'd like to open the floor to the submitter.
Greg, would you want to address any of that?
You need to come.
Dear Member States, thank you. I've lived in Deer Meadow Estates for 25 years, and I believe that bridge has been there for 27 years, just the same way as you see it on the screen. And it does have, one sidewalk that's slightly elevated above the roadway. And, common sense would tell anybody who's, whether you're walking, jogging, walking a dog, whatever, to use the sidewalk. And the extremely vast majority of people do. But for any of us who live in Deer Meadow Estates, I know Al Schmidt does, the mayor does, and I don't know if anyone else here does, who have driven in and out Keeneland Drive probably, thousands of times. It seems that on occasion, once every few months, you might run into a situation as you're driving out that someone, a pedestrian, a jogger, whatever, for whatever reason, seems to think that, of course, the conventional wisdom is that you should walk against traffic, right? That they would be trying to enter, Keeneland Drive, coming into Deer Meadow Estates, and walking against traffic, so they come in on the side that does not have the sidewalk, okay? But common sense would tell you, and I think state law, as Carol just described, tells you, use the one existing sidewalk. But there's a lot of people who still, for some reason, don't do that. A couple of months ago, I had the occasion where, for the umpteenth time, in all my years I've lived there, I was driving out, and there was a jogger who was coming in, who was on the wrong side, and I kind of stopped halfway across the bridge. And the problem is, if another vehicle's coming the other way, it becomes tight, because you don't want to hit the pedestrian, but if you're not careful, you can almost sideswipe the other vehicle. And I stopped halfway across the bridge, and I just kind of looked and marveled at the pedestrian. It was a jogger, and this individual kind of stopped and looked at me, and I guess kind of gave me half the peace sign, as if I was crazy or something. And that's when I said, I've got to say something. And I know Allie's a neighbor and a friend. I said, something has to be done here to give people the obvious information that you should use the sidewalk under all circumstances. And that's what motivated me to submit this request to the committee. That I think right there, as you look at the picture here, on the left corner of the screen, I think there needs to be a sign telling people, pointing them to go over and use the sidewalk on the right side. And on the other side of the bridge, back behind where that car is coming from, as people are coming out of Deer Meadow Estates on Keeneland, there would need to be a sign indicating to people that, again, to use the bridge. Now, on that side, it's not so much of a problem. The biggest problem is people who are walking into Deer Meadow Estates, who tend to walk in against traffic. But anyway, that's the gist of the problem. Again, you would think common sense for people, but there, it just seems to be, someday there's going to be, somebody's going to get hit, or there's going to be a road rage issue. And I mean, it's just hard to believe that this would happen, but it's there. And I think a couple of the signs are going to hopefully alleviate the possibility of anything like this happening. That's my request. Thank you.
As Greg said.
Any questions, I guess, for me?
Any questions for Greg?
Thank you.
As he mentioned, I live over there also and have used the bridge a lot, and I have seen the same things about people going on the wrong side because they're going either facing traffic or with. It doesn't matter. They sometimes don't use the sidewalk. And I know myself, if somebody's over there, I usually have to pull across the center line a little bit to make sure that I miss them in case they fall or something happens. So I think this is, to me, a simple, inexpensive thing to do to potentially, well, save somebody from themselves, but it just to me makes sense to do it. Yes.
Carol, are the signs intended to be on the south side, the non-sidewalk side?
Correct, yes.
Can we add arrows pointing to the,
Yeah, so they know where the sidewalk
across
is.
the road to the sidewalk?
Sure, we will look into that, yes.
That would make sense.
What was that? They're going to be on
The non-sidewalk side,
The left side.
yeah.
yeah. And also, I would suggest that on the example that's in our pad, which says, please use the sidewalk, I think to emphasize it because of, to be blunt, maybe the mentality of some of the people, say, for your safety, use the sidewalk. So it tells them why, that it's not just use the sidewalk to use the sidewalk, it's for their safety.
My only hesitation is that those people going into Deer Meadows There is no sidewalk as you approach this from either side, so,
Yes, there is.
no, there's no sidewalk on
No,
either
there's a
side.
sidewalk on the right-hand side.
On the bridge.
Sidewalk, that's a sidewalk.
That's on the bridge, Al. I'm talking about approaching the bridge.
Okay.
And as you leave the bridge, there's no sidewalk.
You are correct. This is a bridge to
Right.
nowhere.
Right.
I'm sorry, this
So-
is a sidewalk.
Sidewalk to
You
nowhere.
are correct on both
Sidewalk to nowhere.
sides, yes.
So my only hesitation is those walkers and joggers that would be abiding by the law and walking against the traffic, they'd have to cross the street,
Correct.
go across the sidewalk on the bridge, and then they're gonna cross the street again.
Correct.
And those two movements are dangerous in and of themselves.
Correct. And I believe that's what the inference is in the Texas law, is that if
Yeah.
it's not accessible to you
Right.
and you put yourself in danger, it is not enforceable. We
Right.
can't force you to use that
Right.
sidewalk.
That's my only hesitation for this. I mean, otherwise, I think it's a good idea, but I do think we need to recognize that because there is no adjacent sidewalk, those people are gonna have to cross the road twice. So, that's my comment.
I have a question. Can you bring it up on the Google Earth? Just above, because when you look at it from both sides, you have walking paths and bike paths on the street on both sides of the road, leading up to the bridge. So there's a bit of a design flaw there, just because you have a sidewalk with a bridge, but no approach to the sidewalk on either side. And ideally, for pedestrian safety and for, cars, you would think you would have a crosswalk there with the caution signs and everything else to kind of force people across the road, cross it, maybe even give them, the ability to stop traffic so they can cross the road. I'm just going to the extreme here on ideally, that's probably what you'd want. And then you'd have the sidewalk finish on the approach onto the sidewalk on both sides.
Sure. So, thank you so much.
Right.
That was a great comment. We reviewed it. Lieutenant and I discussed it. And what we found in researching the laws is that while pedestrians utilizing a marked crosswalk generally have the right-of-way in Texas, under Texas law, placing a crosswalk at the entrance or exit of the bridge could create significant safety concerns for motorists and pedestrians, because as vehicles are approaching and traveling across the bridge are typically moving at a higher speed than pedestrians, which may limit driver reaction time and visibility for pedestrians entering the crosswalk. This increases the potential for sudden braking, rear-end collisions, or other traffic hazards. Additionally, bridges are generally not ideal locations for pedestrian crossings due to limited roadway space and traffic flow considerations. From a traffic operations and public safety standpoint, requiring vehicles to stop suddenly near the bridge approach could negatively impact traffic flow while also placing pedestrians in potentially dangerous crossing environment. While the suggestion addresses connectivity, placing a crosswalk at this location would likely introduce some risk that benefit without additional engineering review or roadway modifications. So our recommendation from a staff point was not to put a crosswalk there. Go ahead and put the safety signs, the cautionary signs, and see how that works. But it is up to you all to make which recommendation that you would like.
Hey, Carol, what's the width of that bridge?
I do
I
not
mean, I'm
know.
trying to look at, you can't tell from here. Is it wide enough to put another small sidewalk on it?
No.
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
What do you think, Grant? That probably 26 feet wide bridge, but without the sidewalk? Because it looks like you got a 2-foot,
There is a little
2-foot, median, or what do you call it?
shoulder.
You know what? Yeah. I think overall, the idea of putting the signs is probably a good one. And I believe you said, Carol, that is not an enforceable, so in other words, if the policeman saw someone that was still walking against the traffic on the other side, they couldn't really they could tell them, they could advise them,
We can advise them.
but they
yes.
couldn't really ticket them.
and we
Right,
can-
Lieutenant? Is that right? That's correct. Yeah,
And we
okay.
can educate them for the
Yeah,
safety
I think it's an
reason.
educational deal.
Yeah.
And do we have any incident reports of any accidents or?
No.
Are there any signs, warning drivers that pedestrians are in the area?
Given on the Parkway and every place else, yeah.
The warning can now be also use the sidewalk, which would be, so maybe that solves that measure. And if you all do like this motion, if you would just add, because I had written it, I'm sorry, placement of both ends as a direct, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I had put as depicted, so we're good with the arrows, I've got it.
I would think that if that sign is on the sidewalk side,
It is not on the sidewalk side, it's on
okay,
the
it's gonna be on the other
opposite.
side, because I
Yes,
heard
sir.
it mentioned to put it on the other, okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't see it. Any other questions from the committee? No? Discussion? Want to go to a motion?
I'll move that we recommend placement of signs at both ends of Keeneland Bridge on the, I believe, south side, for pedestrians use the sidewalk with arrows pointing to the sidewalk.
Perfect.
I'll second.
John did. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Passes 7-0. Super. Thank you, Greg. The second item is consideration possible action on a citizen request to perform a traffic study at the intersection of Dietz Elkhorn Road and Chartwell Lane. As I understand it, the requester couldn't be here because of the conflict in school hours. And so she has provided the details here, and then the city has also provided them.
So a little bit more information on this one is the submitter noted that the current two-way configuration does not accommodate the traffic volume and operational complexity during the peak school hours, inclusive of queuing issues, a lack of controlled right-of-way, and safety when performing left turn lanes. Photos of
Could you
these
pull the
concerns.
mic in maybe a little closer, please?
Sure. Photos of these concerns are found on page 13 and 14. There were several photos that she had provided. So a little bit of a background. At the July 21st, 2022 City Council meeting, staff's update on the roadway safety improvement projects included the Chartwell realignment project. For those of you that may not have been here, 22 Chartwell was realigned. Showing on the screen, sorry, is the construction plans. These were the construction plans that were provided at that council meeting. It does depict a proposed four-way stop. The city council requested staff, after they had a thorough conversation, to evaluate other alternative traffic control measures and report back to them. In August 2022, the staff did present city council with some alternative measures to the four-way stop. The first option was maintain status quo with just the two stop signs. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Sorry. I'm not looking at it right. The second option is to have a pedestrian actuated sign. What an actuated sign is the push button in that little yellow box right there at the crosswalk to turn on warning lights for the crosswalk. And lastly, the last option was a hybrid beacon option, which includes stoplights with the actuated sign of pushing the button. After discussion, the city council postponed this consideration to allow for additional data collection and input from school administrators, police officers, and parents. The city manager, which was Mr. Maples at the time, recommended potential improvements be reconsidered in conjunction with the future reconstruction of Dietz Elkhorn Road, which I'm happy to tell you is currently expected to begin later this year. So staff's recommendation is no action, as this is consistent with the prior direction that we had received, and we'll revisit this intersection in post-construction of Dietz Elkhorn Road. If TSAC desires to make a different recommendation, a suggested motion has been provided on page 9.
Is there a, what's the design for the upgrade look like for this intersection?
Sorry, Mr.
What-
Watanabe, our Public Works Director, can answer that question.
I was just wondering, if there's a problem, what is the solution that's in the design right now?
So what's currently designed is to maintain the current configuration at that intersection. And as Carol mentioned, we would reassess that after construction is completed to see if additional, but yes, Ms. Schwarzenberry, the lanes will be wider. We are adding 5-foot shoulders, paved shoulders on each side, so that intersection will be a lot wider to provide better visibility.
Turn lanes?
The current turn lanes will remain, the current 2 lanes will remain, and the current traffic flow will mirror what's in place today.
Looks like there's a right turn lane onto Hartwell, and then both through traffic and left turn traffic coming from Ralph Fair Road use the same lane.
That's correct.
Are they planning to get, to me, it seems you don't need a right turn lane. You would just have that go straight, and if they got to turn, they turn. Then you'd have a left turn lane only from that direction. But I guess I'm a little confused of which way the traffic issue is for this particular intersection. Is it coming from the Parkway or from Ralph Fair Road, or yes?
So I believe in talking to the submitter, the issue is leaving the school on Chartwell, trying to turn left
Okay.
to
yeah.
go on to Dietz Elkhorn.
The same issue happens at Van Rob as well.
Correct, and then the same issue is you're coming down Dietz Elkhorn from Ralph Fair, trying to turn left into the school. That was her concern, was those two.
Isn't there a policeman at that intersection during the school hours?
No, sir, not normally. If we can, we definitely try to, but there is a school crossing guard there by the ISD.
We used
Traffic.
to though.
Yeah, we only do that as a filler until the decision is still for the crossing guard.
Crossing guards can't do traffic,
So-
right?
Correct.
They could just stop for the crosswalk.
Yes, sir.
Grant, did I understand you correctly that the new design that is taking place right now for Dietz Elkhorn will not have a left turn lane on Dietz? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So it'll be the same 2-lane
The
configuration
traffic pattern will mirror
as it
what's
is
in place
now.
today. That's correct. The only difference is that we'll have a paved shoulder on each side, so
Yeah.
the Dietz will be wider.
Worth looking at getting rid of the right turn lane there, at least coming from Fair Oaks, or Ralph Fair Road going towards Fair Oaks Parkway, westbound. To me, that would make the most sense. There's no need for a right turn lane there, I think, unless somebody can argue against me.
Problem, because they're stopped in the
Yeah,
straight lane.
they're stopping in the straight lane,
Left
people are
turn,
going around.
exactly.
And they're going into the right turn lane and get back over, so that's a habit that you want to prevent. They're not supposed to do that, but. Because at Van Rob, that's what you have. You have the left turn lane going westbound, and then
Yeah.
through traffic goes straight.
Right, yeah.
But granted, you don't have that intersection there, four-way.
I think that's something that we could look at. You have a dedicated left turn lane, and then the other lane is for through traffic and right turns. There
That
may,
would alleviate some of it, I would think, on my unprofessional
I agree.
opinion.
I agree.
I don't know if that gets to the root request of this item. That's difficulty
The
of traffic
request
getting out
also
of
mentioned,
Chartwell.
or another traffic calming measure to be thought about, and it made me think about the very gentle, I don't know if they're even speed bumps, but the very gentle bump that's at the H-E-B store in Leon Springs. They have some asphalt, very gentle, wide, calming things there for the pedestrians in front of the store. And I was just wondering about that on Dietz Elkhorn, would that be appropriate? To just slow down the traffic at that intersection?
I think so.
The problem, the speed limit's already 20 miles an hour in the school zone. It's the way the cars are trying to work around each other at that corner.
More of a traffic flow issue than
Yeah,
a
Correct.
pedestrian issue,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, correct.
Sure would be nice if we could provide a left turn lane for those, that westbound side of Dietz. End up 12-foot wider path probably. If you had because currently you have a right turn lane and a straight and left combo lane. If you could end up with 3 lanes wide, so you'd have a straight, you'd avoid the problem that's probably what happened. Somebody stopped to turn left, and that's why they got rear-ended. So I'm not sure adding a stop sign there helps you at all, so. Stopped and they got hit, so.
Yeah.
Grant, is there enough room to put, with some redesign, 3 turn lane in there?
I think there's enough room to change the configuration to make a dedicated left turn lane, and then the other lane is a through lane and a right turn lane. But not there, I don't think there is enough room to add a third
My
lane.
gut feeling is there is.
You making it a left turn lane with a straight lane and
Yeah.
a right. And I think this is a good suggestion, and like I said, we're beginning this project, so we've done a lot of engineering study, we've
Right.
already got our construction plans. So I think let us look at Dietz Elkhorn as we're moving on this project, and we can report back to you.
It might be, who's doing that, Pape Dawson? A nice question to ask them, if they could at least take a look.
If I point out a possible safety issue with that, you have a lot of students crossing and there's only one crossing guard at this intersection. I like your idea of the straight and right turn lane and making a dedicated left turn lane, keeping
Right.
it 2. I think by adding a third lane, now you're adding more traffic for that one person that is trying to
Yeah.
get students safely across the
Yeah,
street
no, I think.
to try to manage as well. 2 lanes is gonna be easier for that one individual to deal with than 3.
I would agree with that. That'd be a better configuration, and you'd still have the 3 lanes.
Because right now, I think a lot of the issues that you're dealing with is, like what you were saying, the traffic, you have a right turn lane, but people are trying to go around
Yep.
and straight through. So if we were to make that lane straight through and a right, and then just a dedicated left,
Yeah.
that would alleviate a lot of this
I
problem.
think that'd be better than the current situation.
That's the first bullet on here, right? Is the left turn into the school is the first bullet complaining, or the first issue they're identifying. You would just mirror what's at Van Rob.
Would that solve her question about making a left-hand turn from the school, though, onto Dietz Elkhorn?
No, it would not.
Yeah.
Because it'd be through traffic, yeah.
Correct, but just as a reminder, her submittal was specifically for a study to be performed. That was her request.
Well, it also says put in 4-way stops,
Yeah, but her,
but that requires the study, so
correct,
would another study.
right.
You know, we just finished, the city did putting in the extra lane at the front gate, which didn't take a lot of extra land or asphalt to do that, but I don't know if that's part of any consideration for there
At the lanes.
on adding a lane, space for a lane.
So the motion that the staff is looking for is, does TSAC, we're saying no recommendation, we already received previous guidance. If you are wanting to make a recommendation to be on record, do you want to conduct a traffic study? And I suggested within 6 to 12 months following post-construction, or you don't have to make a motion and we will continue as previously directed.
I don't think you need a motion for a traffic study. I think you just need to take a look at the design itself and see if it can accommodate for this,
Correct.
or what we can accommodate within the design review for this study.
I did have a question on that. Your recommendation that to do, revisit the intersection of Dietz and Chartwell in post-construction of the planned Dietz
Mhm.
Elkhorn Road, after it's already constructed?
Yes, post-construction,
Why
meaning,
would we not address this issue before we construct Dietz Elkhorn like they did with the water pipe, put it down so we have to tear it up again to make changes? Is that right, Greg? We can put it in, whatever changes need to be done in the design of that intersection when you're redoing Dietz?
That's correct. We could probably look into the option of changing some of the traffic flow sooner rather than later.
Might just be a matter of painting the lines a little differently, right? Don't have to do it, I don't know if it impacts the subgrade or anything, but that's going way beyond my capability.
No, there'll be some additional changes because that through traffic is going to have to merge back into the street while they're going west. So there'll be some additional pavement needed in some areas.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I think the post-construction that was suggested back in 2022 was to allow the construction to be done, to see if there has been any change in the behavior or the traffic. And if you remember, they asked us to reach out to the school administrators and to the parents and to the police department. So I think they were waiting for the post-construction to see if there was a change.
Not doing it while it's already messed up, so when it's done, it's done.
Right.
The staff recommendation, of course, says nothing at this time, consistent with the August 2022 council meeting. And I was wondering, in the last 4 years, has the population at the school increased or decreased, or is it about the same as it was in 4 years ago?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'd have to reach out to the school, but the population of the city has increased, but I don't know the districting, the redistricting of the school, who goes to which school.
If the population increased, then there's a commensurate increase in cars also.
Sure, but they could also be going to Van Rob. They took some students from Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary and moved them to Van Rob, so.
Right sized, because at one point Fair Oaks was over capacity, and then once they built Van Rob, they were able to kind of balance some of that, and then it just went through a redistricting to take from, I know some from Van Rob to Val Wilson, so they're trying to keep it balanced at around 800 students, I think, is max capacity.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any new portables go in or anything, which usually addresses the
I
growth.
think it's, both of them are around, both Van Rob and Fair Oaks are around 720.
Perhaps if I could, I might just ask for make a motion that, not for a traffic study and for stop signs. I'm not going to put that in my recommendation, but my recommendation or motion would be that we direct staff to have a conversation or consult with the design engineers about the traffic flow through that intersection as the construction documents are prepared for the redesign of Dietz. Does that motion make sense, Carol?
Well, to assess the traffic flow is a study.
Just-
Am I missing something? I'm not an engineer. Grant?
Just have a discussion with the designers. I'm not sure that, I'm asking for a traffic study. Traffic studies get into doing traffic counts and that kind of thing.
How about evaluate the feasibility of a dedicated left turn and instead of a right turn, a straight
Yeah,
through right
yeah,
turn
maybe
lane.
that's it, yeah.
That sounds
That
great.
might be a better way to say it, Chris.
Evaluate the feasibility.
Yeah.
Can someone state that motion?
Would there also be a thought, it just hit me, as to putting up a couple of signs that might say caution turning vehicles or something like that, that might make traffic aware that there could be people turning during those periods?
Look how many signs are already there, Hal. You know, and
They're well
one more
aware.
sign, just gonna confuse the matter.
I
And are we
move-
talking about the left turn off of Dietz Elkhorn?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Just
I
wanted to
move
check.
we recommend city staff evaluate the potential of redesigning the left turn lane from Dietz to Chartwell
Mhm.
and making the right turn only lane a through lane in the design.
Is there a second? They vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Great conversation and suggestions.
So we're all,
Ye- Yes.
I think we were unanimous on that, weren't we?
I was stating the motion, what I was trying to say.
Well, that passed then with that motion, 7-0, okay. The next item is status, I believe,
It is the Ammon Road and Rolling Acres intersection.
except for the status with Frank on his
So
discussion item. On a TSAC committee member request to reduce the speed limit on Almond Road and to add stop signs on Almond Road at Rolling Acres Trail.
correct, at the last meeting, committee member Trapasso requested a discussion today regarding the safety concerns that he has seen on Ammon Road. By way of background, we wanted to provide you a little bit more information on the Ammon Road construction project at a staff open house held on February 9th, 2025. We provided reconstruction plans, projects, and opened it up for conversations with the public. Kelsey Delgado, our city's project manager, will now provide that presentation to you and answer any questions related to the project. Following that, Mr. Trapasso will have the floor to begin the discussion.
Good afternoon. As mentioned, my
Kelsey, would
name
you get the mic close, please?
is that a little bit better. Sorry, I'm a little taller than Carol. My name is Kelsey Delgado. I'm the project manager for the city, as mentioned. Ammon Road is one of the projects that I'm currently managing, and it is in design. As mentioned, this presentation was presented back in February at an open house held for residents to come and learn more about the roadway reconstruction project that's happening over here. So starting out, this project was included in the 5-year roadway CIP that was approved by voters at the May 2024 bond election. This project is required to prevent further deterioration and to increase the roadway lifespan with the increased traffic in this area. Improvements include a full-depth reconstruction of the roadway that includes 2 11-foot lanes and then 2-foot buffers on either side. It also includes drainage improvements to 2 existing low water crossings, utility adjustments, and the softening of both north and south curve. Project limits are from city limit to city limit, so starting at the far north curve, it spans 2.17 miles through the southern curve down toward the city limits, which is right off of 3351. So looking a little bit closer at the southern curve, there is a planned softening of this curve to improve sight distance, reduce the turning severity, and to create a safer travel path for motorists. This new alignment was made possible by the dedication of land from the Post Oak development. Though the new alignment has remained the same, I do have an update on the access points for the residents who live off of the southern curve. Originally, there was one access point for the property owners that live over here, which would be off of Rolling Acres Trail. Access would be from Rolling Acres Trail, and then right around this area, the road would dead end. Since then, we got feedback at the open house from the property owners that live in this corner, and they requested an additional access point to allow better site visibility and access for trash trucks to make their way through, and also trucks and trailers have a better turning radius as well. So depicted in this corner right here, our consultants went back and added an additional access point, which would be on the southern curve, so then residents or trash trucks can kind of loop through. At this time, there are no plans to include stop signs or to reduce the speed on Ammon Road. The rest of this presentation has to do with other items regarding Ammon Road and the reconstruction, so I can run through that very quickly before we move back over there. So the next few slides are regarding drainage. There are 2 low water crossings that will be upgraded as part of this project. Both are currently do not even support a 2-year flood event. So they are going to be redesigned to support a 10-year flood event. And there's also a few culvert crossings that will be upgraded as well. First low water crossing is only 1 concrete pipe, 1 18-inch concrete pipe. That will be upsized to 6 box culverts. Low water crossing 2 has 1 concrete pipe currently, and it'll be 7 concrete pipes that will be replaced as depicted here. Traffic control, this project will be completed in 4 phases. Phase 1 would be from city limits off of 3351 to the southern curve, right off of Rolling Acres Trail. It'll be a complete roadway shutdown with a detour plan. Detour will be shown on the next slide. Phase 2 and 3 includes the construction of the southern curve up through Rolling Acres Trail. The traffic will be down to 1 lane with 2-way traffic. The contractor will be utilizing portable signal lights to help with the traffic flow. And then phase 4 is Stone Creek Ranch through the northern curve. That will also be down to 1 lane with 2-way traffic, utilizing portable traffic control lights and pilot cars where there's limited visibility. So this depicts the detour. Then highlighted in red is where the road will be shut down. Traffic will then be detoured off of Ammon Road through Rolling Acres Trail and then down Meadow Creek Trail. The detour plan for this phase 1, should be roughly 4 to 5 months. And then it'll open back up. Quickly touching on driveways, there are 15 driveways that are included that are off of Ammon Road. All driveways will be retied to Ammon Road utilizing the same materials that they're currently made out of. As mentioned, the southern curve, there are a few driveways that are off of that 90-degree curve currently. Access will now be off of Rolling Acres Trail, but also off of the new curve alignment as well. Looking at project schedule, we expect to receive the final design over the summer. Construction should begin early 2027, and the duration of that construction should last about 12 months. With that, I'll go ahead and open it up for discussion, and I'll go back to the southern curve as a visual for your discussion. One moment.
Kelsey, does any of that include any elevation changes? I know there's quite a few nice dips in the first phase.
So there is 2 culvert crossings with a pretty good dip in there that will be evened out. So the elevation will raise to help. Yeah.
It's a possibility with less roller coastering, people might tend to speed a little bit more.
Frank, do you have anything to add to Kelsey's comments?
The only question, first of all, I agree 100%. Ammon Road has to be done over. It's falling apart. Some ledges on the corners. As you said, we're adding a new development, which is a little over 200 houses. So you're adding 400 or 500 cars. So the traffic's going to pick up. And the old road, I was listening to the presentation at the City Hall, and the old road, that curve closest to Rolling Acres has had a bunch of accidents. If you come off that curve and get onto Rolling Acres, you'll see the first house has giant boulders in front of it for a reason. The first 2 or 3 houses on Rolling Acres have been hit many times, fences, gates, and so forth. So the curve helps a little to slow them down, but they hit that corner so fast that they bang into houses on either side. Mostly, I shouldn't say this, but mostly school kids. So my issue is with the hills and the valleys and the sight lines. And if we add the 2-foot walkways, right now, if you see a bike on that road, depending on where you come behind it, you're going to have to wait till they clear the hill. So when you put the 2-foot shoulders on each side, the road's 4 feet bigger. I assume that'll mean a lot more bike riders and maybe some people actually walking on that road, which at 45 miles an hour, I think is dangerous. So what I'm proposing is that we lower the speed limit to 35. And on the end of Rolling Acres, we put 2 stop signs. When you come out of Rolling Acres to the right side, it's a straightaway and it's hilly, so you really don't get vision of the car doing 45 miles an hour until it's almost on top of you. So I would like to see us probably do it now rather than later. The road is such bad shape now, moving it to 35 might certainly slow down the accidents on that corner. I remember the police chief saying that 1 year, I forget what year, 2023, there were 5 accidents in 1 year, and there were one almost every other year he talked about. And again, as they say, they come around, I don't know how they do it, but they come around that curve, they get on Rolling Acres, and one car actually went airborne. I don't know how you do that on a corner, but they did. So my proposal is that we move the speed limit to 35 now, and we put up the stop signs now. And I think particularly when the new road is done, it's going to be very beneficial to bicycles, people that will walk on that 2-foot shoulder. That's really all I wanted to say.
Question. I know a couple of years ago, they dropped the speed limit on Fair Oaks Parkway from 40 to 35 due to golf cart traffic. Should Almond fall underneath that same kind of rule?
I've never seen a golf cart on it, and I'm on that road 2 or 3 times a week.
I mean, I just know that.
I've never seen a golf cart on it.
I just know the parkway was.
Well, they don't walk there now, but they do ride bikes. But what I'm saying is now, now you're going to have a 2-foot shoulder. It would make it easier to walk than it is today. I'd be really concerned, as I say, I've seen the bikes, and you really, with the hills, you have to wait till you clear a hill to pass a bike rider, or it could be an accident.
I agree with Frank's comment that something should be done now rather than wait until the project completion, which is several years away, is that the speed limit going to 35 would match it to the parkway, and the parkway is a safer drive. Almond Road, and I've driven it frequently also, is that it's pretty unsafe with the steep shoulders or ditches, the curves, the hills, is to go ahead and reduce that speed to the 35. Also, is that what I've seen and read is that kids love to speed down through there. And that's not good. So I would think that, and also it's a narrow road. But if we could be proactive and do something now, I think that would be better than waiting 3 or 4 years until the project is completed.
In my opinion, we cannot take any action yet because we don't have a traffic study.
Why do we need one?
Generally, you have to warrant things to be changed. You have to
Yep.
warrant changes in speed limit and adding stop signs.
I thought that our speed limit change could go down to a certain amount without a study. Isn't that true? We had that question, I think.
You're right. That's the only road in Fair Oaks, not including Ralph Fair, that's 45 now. The Parkway and Deeks is down to 35. So it's, and with your vision on that road, blocked by the hills and the curves, you really don't have much time to react. I mean, you see dead deer on that road all the time. And again, right now, I don't see a lot of walkers, but I do see bikes, and that's pretty scary because you can't pass them without causing an accident. You have to wait until you clear the hill.
Is there a rule that we have to have a traffic study before changing?
I believe TSAC, in your new submittal form, you had requested that traffic studies be done on your recommendation of lowering a speed limit. So I think that might be where it came from. When we redid the TSAC form, you had asked us to make sure that was on the form as part of a recommendation to reduce the speed limit.
The other problem that I have with lowering the speed limit is that once you go to the north turn, you're back in the county, and the speed limit's going to remain at 45. It's going to be very confusing to drivers that all of a sudden you get to the city of Fair Oaks and you're slowed down. I went through, a minute, Frank. I went through that intersection this morning going to Bernie at 8 o'clock. I left my house at 8 o'clock, and I'm 5 minutes from there. By the time I went around the south curve and got to the north curve, I'm right in the middle of all the kids going to school. I was driving, because of this, I made a special note to see what speed I was driving. And I was driving between 42 and 45 miles an hour on that stretch between the two curves. When I got to the north curve, I had at least 12 cars pushing on my butt.
The other thing I wanted to mention
I
is.
just don't think lowering the speed limit on that section of road does anything for me.
The other thing I wanted to mention is Ammon Road crosses 3351, and it ends up in Comell County at that point.
Yeah.
That road has the 2-foot sides to it, and that road currently is 35 miles an hour.
That's
So our side is 10 miles higher than that, and I don't know what Bernie's gonna do. I mean, that's up to Bernie, but I think for our safety, we have to move our speed limit down.
I was just wondering, did I understand right, the construction's gonna begin towards the end of this year?
Construction will begin early 2027, and it will take roughly 12 months. So early 2028, we should be done.
My thought is that while this construction's going on, there's not gonna be a lot of speeding anywhere.
There will be a lot of construction activity happening
So
with
They'll be
lower.
lowering the speed limits for the construction, I'm sure. You're gonna
Might
lower
wanna
those
wait to
Yep.
discuss
in the
this a little
construction
further
zone, I'm
after
sure.
the construction's done and we see how people handle it or drive.
There will also be the new alignment with construction, so Rolling Acres Trail is actually going to be extended up slightly. So whenever people motorists are coming from Bernie through the curve, they will no longer be like aligned with that first house where those rocks are. It'll actually be a little bit further out, adding a additional buffer, if you'd like to call it, from that property.
I wouldn't think, to me, there would be any harm in lowering the speed limit now, even in anticipation of the pieces of the road that may be reduced because of construction at times. So go ahead and do it. And there also, I think, while the speed limit might change going into Bernie, we're gonna have the same situation on 3351 if that speed limit is reduced further as you come into the city. So there'll be one speed limit on 3351. Coming into Fair Oaks, there'll be a reduced speed limit, and then it gets reduced even further down at Camp Stanley. So the change in speed limits, I think it's up to the driver to pay attention to that.
Well, Al, I'm not opposed to lowering the speed limit. The problem is, I think there's been so much construction that maybe now is not the time to do it, that evidently requires a traffic study. I don't know if we need staff to do a traffic study before the construction's done, then we can see how, well, we probably will lower it, but, see what I'm saying?
I don't think the construction's not going to
Traffic
make
study.
the entire Almond Road reduced. It'd only be sections that are being worked on, wouldn't it?
That would
Or
be
would it
your
make the entire Almond
recommendation.
Road?
That would be your recommendation, is do you want Ammon Road, sections of Ammon Road? Because you're requesting to reduce the speed limit, so I'm going to ask from where to where, so that when you go forward to council, it's explicit, it's clear. So yes, it could be sections or it could be the whole road, but I believe what Mrs. Brimhall was stating was that after construction, when the new street is in, let's see if the traffic behavior does change, or does it remain the same, does it need to be lowered? I think one of you had also mentioned that the road would now be straight through and not have the dips and curves. So I think that's where you were going.
I was just trying to save you all a traffic study that might be a little premature.
Because the next step, if we recommend a speed change, would be a traffic study based on our own rules, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to speak on behalf of the council, but that seems to be when we have lowered speed limits, we do a traffic study of some sort.
So what we're looking at in a practical way is even if TSAC recommends lowering the speed limit, we're asking for a traffic study on a road that's going to be completely reconstructed in less than a year. The construction will start in less than a year. It seems like that's kind of spinning wheels for something that is going to be completely redone, and the behavior and the traffic patterns and the speed at which cars travel will change after the construction is completed.
Did we confirm that a traffic study is required to drop that speed limit 10 miles an hour? Hello, Scott.
Hello, Scott Hughes, City Manager. This is not a recommendation, but just an attempt to clarify that by Texas law, the prima facie speed limit is 30 miles per hour for all roadways within the city, absent any other studies. So legally, you could recommend going down to 30 miles an hour without a speed study. It's when you go down to 25 or 20 is when it requires extra steps. And 25 requires a council finding of safety, and it's 20 at 20 is where you legally have to have a speed study to justify it. As a matter of practice, for the last several recommendations that have gone through TSAC with recommendations to the council, we have included, as you'll recall, neighborhood or resident feedback along with a study to support the recommendation, but that's been a matter of practice, not law. I don't recall it specifically in your rules of procedure, but that's what we've been doing for the last several. So you can do it. You can make that recommendation, just understanding what we've done heretofore, if that makes sense.
Several issues the council asked for resident input on the request, yeah.
And sometimes supporting speed data, so where we put up the radar feedback signs and calculate the average and the 85th percentile and all that good stuff, yeah.
Any other discussions on this? Questions? Frank actually has two recommendations. One is reducing the speed, and the other one was putting up stop signs. So I think we need two separate motions. One, unless there's another third alternative. But, so I can see these two are separate on motions. And actually, what the way it's worded is that, or was it, Carol, that the staff is seeking guidance on what the direction of the committee should be?
Yes, because in talking to Mr. Trapasso, he wanted this to be a discussion item and to determine if TSAC wanted to move
Right.
forward with a recommendation.
Yes.
So we wrote it up as a discussion. There was no formal recommendation provided, depending on the discussion today.
Well, it may be just my opinion, but I make a motion to reduce the speed limit on Ammon Road to 35 miles an hour.
Do we have a second?
From where?
From the portion that belongs to Fair Oaks, 2.7 miles.
So the entire length of Ammon Road.
City limits, within city limits.
Frank, was that only for the speed limit?
Yes, he
Yeah, so that was
he
only for
just
the
said
speed
speed
limit.
limit.
Okay. So Frank has made a motion.
Yes, he did.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Myself and Frank were for it, and the other 5 were against it.
No, Josh was
Or
also.
let me,
positive.
I'm sorry, Josh was. Yes.
I'll make the motion for stop signs on Ammon Road where it intersects with Rolling Acres.
Any seconds on that? No seconds on that, so that we defer that one, or it,
I believe the motion just dies. It didn't receive a
Motion
second.
dies.
And for the record, the vote on the first one was 3 to 4, correct? So that motion failed.
So now we're into status of the traffic and pedestrian improvements at the intersection of the Parkway and Front Gate. By Carol.
Correct. So in February 2025, if you remember, a submittal was received for various traffic and pedestrian improvements at the intersection of Fair Oaks Parkway and Front Gate. After TSAC and City Council recommendations and actions, to date, the following have been performed. We have installed double yellow striping with reflectors. We have installed intersection warning signs. We relocated the existing stop bar further on Front Gate, closer to the Parkway. We placed permanent radar feedback signs on Fair Oaks Parkway near the intersection. And recently, we installed the left turn lane eastbound on the Parkway. The only remaining item due to TSAC to report on is the traffic data collection of that area. We did the data collection in 2 different time periods. One was in July 2025 when school was out of session, and again in January 2026 when school was in session. The charts, starting on page 23, depict the data and can also be seen on this screen here. So your average vehicle speeds in both directions were below the posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour. The traffic volumes were higher eastbound during both times. Eastbound is coming from IH-10 going towards the Country Club or Fair Oaks Parkway.
And much lower during the non-school year.
Correct. That is your vehicle counts right there.
Is there any thought on or understanding as to how the traffic increased so significantly in those periods on page 25? It increased by 600 or so vehicles.
During the school,
between in those-
School.
the school period.
People going to drop their kids at school.
It's the school period.
Because
You have,
all of the apartment buildings on the frontage road of I-10 south of the Parkway and all the subdivisions, Napa Oaks and all those, the school district has those kids going to Van Robb.
correct.
And I have argued that they should be going to Fair Oaks Elementary, and the kids that live on Noble Ark ought to be going to Van Robb. But that seems to fall on a deaf ear.
The last 2 slides will show the 85th percentile of speeds. And you can see in July, it was 39 miles per hour westbound, which means going towards IH-10, and 37 miles per hour eastbound. The 85th percentiles for January was 35 miles per hour both directions. So with the completion of this study and reporting it to the committee, all mitigation measures and studies have been met. This submittal is now considered complete. Thank you.
May I ask if we've had any incidents regarding the left turn lane, traffic-wise?
I'm not sure, sir. I have to look at that.
I'm not aware of any since the left turn lane
Yeah.
was put in. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. My apologies. The next one is the status report on ongoing items. The first item is the speed reduction on Ralph Fair Road. That was approved a while ago. It continues to be pending. We are still waiting on TxDOT to post the lower speed limit of 55 miles per hour. Once it is posted, we will return to the city council and create the ordinance to address the new speed limit.
We have no estimate yet? Or-
We're in contact with them. They originally said April. They had some operational changes, some employees, so it got a little bit delayed. The second item that staff is working on, and this one is new, it involves the intersection of Fair Oaks Parkway and Ralph Fair Road as depicted on this screen. On February 25th, a resident reached out to the police department concerned that approaching vehicles are led to believe that Fair Oaks Parkway is 2 lanes because of the width of the road. You see on the right, the shoulder kind of squeezes in, so people believe it's 2 lanes. And when TxDOT installed the 2 lights, that led them to believe so. This is causing driver confusion, creating potential collisions in the future. There has been some witnessing of 2 vehicles in the right lane, and they're both wanting to go across the street rather than one intending to turn left. So we've analyzed it, we've assessed it, but as part of this intersection is in TxDOT's right-of-way, we have attempted to meet with TxDOT to give them our ideas and suggestions of a potential solution. In addition to their stoplight, our suggestion and what that we're looking for, and make sure I have this right, Clint, is on the right-hand side, we would like to do exactly what you mentioned earlier, make 1 lane a left turn dedicated, and the right side of Fair Oaks Parkway would be a straight ahead or a right turn only. That is our solution for now, but we'd like to talk to TxDOT. The city's responsibility, see where the dark street is? Beyond that dark street is TxDOT's right-of-way. If we put some markings or lane turns, we need to collaborate with TxDOT. So we're working through that right now. As soon as we have something, I'm sure we'll bring it to you to look and review. So that one. Now, lastly, on March 6th, the City Council approved the proposed TSAC Rules of Procedure that you all had offered to them. A copy of the rules we've placed at your position today, and it is also posted online. Council did approve all your recommendations, but made amendments to 3 items for simplicity purpose and for clarity. Those are shown on page 28 of your packet. Vice Chairperson Debke and I can answer any questions you may have on the amendments, but the amendments that the council changed was just to clarify that they are looking for recommendations only. So they just tightened up the language to reflect that. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to call me or Amanda, or we can answer them today.
I was certainly sorry to see the change to the, on that second item that's shown under the adopted amendment, where it says that the city staff shall present all committee recommendations requiring council action to the council. And this was something originally, I know this is kind of water under the bridge, I guess, but originally we had said that all recommendations should go to the council because this committee is advisory. This committee does not take final action on these items. And also, some people have seen that there was a social media item several weeks or months ago where the committee was commented on, and some people were asking the question, how can you have a non-elected group of committee members make a decision, a final decision like that? And I agree, we're not elected, we're appointed, and to me, all recommendations should go to the council. They then can decide, do they agree with our denial or approval or whatever it may be. So I don't know, I think that one's an item that maybe should come up again in the future to modify that. Again, we are advisory. The word advisory doesn't mean that you take final action.
Noted.
Well, are we there?
I think we are. Yes.
Anyone have any items in particular they wanted to mention or bring up or anything?
Al, I just wanted to thank the staff for all the work you've done for our meetings. It's really helpful. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Especially about the left turn lane at Frontgate. That was nice.
Yes, and it's nice to have some visuals when we talk through it.
Just remind everybody, it slips up on you. Tomorrow is the National Day of Prayer.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Adjourned?
So move.
Second.
For the record, it's 4:09.
All right. Okay.
4:10, part of my watch.